Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into the big macro and micro forces shaping India's trajectory right now, as of May 15th, 2026. We are breaking down everything from some intense geopolitical juggling and wild economic shifts to the literal heat waves on the ground and some really massive cultural triumphs. And as we'll see, these seemingly separate events are actually deeply intertwined. Let's get into it.
Here is how we're structuring today's Explainer. 1. India on the world stage. 2. Navigating the global economy. 3. Heat waves and climate realities. And 4. Sports, culture, and society. Starting with Section 1. India on the world stage, a diplomatic balancing act.
So zooming all the way out to the macro level, India is aggressively asserting itself right now amid a seriously volatile international backdrop. Their diplomatic strategy is easily one of the most complex balancing acts in modern geopolitics. Take the recent BRICS foreign ministers meeting in Delhi, for example. India was front and center, demanding more representation for the global south, even though the BRICS nations themselves are dealing with pretty sharp internal divisions over conflicts in the Middle East. And speaking of the Middle East, India is walking an incredibly fine tightrope there too. They are carefully managing relations with Iran, Israel, and the Gulf nations all at once, right smack in the middle of a global oil crisis driven by regional war tensions. To kind of shield themselves from all that instability, India just secured some absolutely crucial new defense and petroleum agreements with the UAE during Prime Minister Modi's recent visit. Really, it's a masterclass in pragmatic diplomacy. They're maintaining neutrality where they have to, while aggressively locking down their own domestic energy needs.
Now, the big takeaway here is that India isn't just passively sitting back and navigating these networks to survive. No, they're actively demanding a leadership role for emerging nations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi literally stated that BRICS is a key voice of Global South and that India is going to push for a more inclusive world order. This really highlights a major foreign policy pillar for 2026. They're using platforms like BRICS to position themselves as the primary voice for the Global South, aiming to completely reshape global governance so it actually reflects today's economic and demographic realities.
And you can really see this push for inclusion driving India's core argument at the United Nations. Our sources show India forcefully arguing at that BRICS meeting that the current U.S. Security Council structure is stuck in an earlier era. They are pushing back hard against a system designed way back in the mid-20th century. Their point is that it's just fundamentally unequipped to handle 21st century crises, whether we're talking about Iran war tensions, messing with global shipping routes, or the incredibly pressing need for global AI governance. The old tools just don't work anymore. India is drawing a very sharp contrast here between outdated post-war institutions and the modern, inclusive world order they're trying to build.
All right, moving right along to Section 2, Navigating the Global Economy, Technology and Volatility.
Okay, so all that geopolitical maneuvering we just talked about? Well, it has immediate, real-world financial consequences. Those global oil tensions and war concerns are creating massive friction across the markets. The Indian stock market is incredibly volatile right now. The rupee, it's under intense pressure directly because of those unstable crude oil prices. We're also seeing a weak intraday trend in gold prices, and on a super practical, everyday level, the global aviation sector, which absolutely includes Indian Airlines, is really struggling. Some are even reducing international operations because the cost of jet fuel is just skyrocketing. Now, those diplomatic energy pacts with the UAE are definitely designed to cushion this blow, but the immediate market pressure is undeniable.
But hold on, because contrasting all that market friction is a massive, undeniable technological boom. Capital and human resources are flowing fast. First off, major IT companies are significantly ramping up their AI hiring globally. Second, we are seeing a huge wave of startups pivoting their entire focus specifically toward generative AI products. And third, all of this is resulting in an absolute surge of venture capital and startup investments pouring directly into the AI and fintech sectors. So while the traditional markets are sweating over commodity prices, the tech sector is just accelerating at breakneck speed.
We are really witnessing a massive global pivot toward future-proofing the economy. Following the AI Impact Summit 2026, Indian discussions have been heavily centered on AI development and regulation. But it's not just AI. Semiconductor industry demand continues to go through the roof, right alongside massive global investments in electric battery technology, EVs, and quantum computing. It's a very clear picture of an economy trying its hardest to transition away from the vulnerabilities of fossil fuels and traditional supply chains and sprinting toward a highly digitized, tech-driven future.
Now, on to Section 3. Heat waves and climate realities, the ground reality.
This is where those macro policies meet the everyday reality on the ground. 44 degrees Celsius. I mean, wow. The staggering temperature is the reality right now for states like Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Odisha. Extreme heat wave alerts have been issued, and Delhi is bracing for severe conditions this weekend. This isn't just an uncomfortable weather pattern, guys. This is a literal systemic stress test for the entire region.
And the domino effect of a heat wave like this is profound. Several states are reporting surging electricity demand, which, if you think about it, loops right back to the vital importance of those UAE energy packs and LPG supply stability we discussed earlier. It's all connected. But it goes even further. There are growing concerns over regional water shortages and increased global monitoring of forest fires. And on a deeply human level, we've got students across the country trying to prepare for incredibly high-stakes competitive exams, like NEET, right in the middle of these brutal temperatures. Now, the government is stepping up by upgrading monsoon tracking systems and reviewing cyclone preparedness, but the immediate environmental strain on daily life is severe.
Finally, let's look at Section 4, Sports, Culture, and Society, National Triumphs.
So despite the geopolitical stress, the economic volatility, and the extreme weather, the cultural heartbeat of the nation is thriving. These sporting achievements really highlight a remarkable resilience. India is still riding high as the defending T20 World Cup champions, which is a massive point of national pride. But what's truly exciting is how diverse this success is becoming. Our sources highlight that Indian women archers recently secured World Cup gold medals. We are seeing young Indian athletes utterly dominating in junior competitions globally. Plus, preparations are in full swing for the SAF Women's Championship in Goa, which perfectly aligns with the massive global surge we're seeing in women's sports viewership right now. It truly is a golden era for Indian athletics across the board.
And looking forward, the cultural calendar is incredibly dynamic. Right now, fresh selection trials for the Asian game in archery have just begun. Heading into the summer of 2026, the entertainment sector is gearing up for major pan-India and Bollywood movie releases that are expected to massively boost theater attendance. And looking toward the end of the year, India is set to host the Miss Grand International 2026 pageant, which is an event already trending heavily online. So from local athletic trials to massive international entertainment events, the cultural output is just operating at full tilt.
As we wrap up this explainer, let's take a step back and look at the big picture. We've seen India pushing aggressively for a redefined, inclusive world order at the UN. We've seen a massive surge in AI and fintech investment fighting against the drag of volatile oil markets. And we've seen the brutal realities of a 44-degree climate stressing domestic infrastructure, all while the nation's athletes and cultural icons continue to completely shine on the world stage. So the question I want to leave you with today is this: how will these powerful and honestly sometimes conflicting forces, macro diplomacy, technological booms, and microclimate challenges ultimately intersect to define India's path forward for the rest of 2026? It's a complex puzzle, for sure, and one we are going to continue watching very closely. Thank you so much for joining me, and keep questioning the world around you.